All right, so as promised, here's the update on John. I'm actually sitting here in his house. Today is, what is today? Today's Friday, the 12th to the 12th. So he's been in the hospital since, was it the 1st of February?
30th, I think, of January.
Of January, so almost 2 weeks. But he's home today. It was a long ordeal. But I'll let him talk about some of that. You'll get to see his foot. You'll get to even see some pictures of what his foot looked like after the surgery with only 3 toes on it. So
it's terrifying.
Yeah, so we'll let him do some of the talk. I'll probably ask him some questions and he'll tell some stuff. He'll tell you a little bit of story about why he had the surgery, and it might be helpful to some of you, as with all these incidents can be. So I'm looking over him there. It is good. I hate to admit it, but it is kind of good to see him again. Haven't seen him for a while. But anyway, we'll turn around and let you see him. So there he is in his comfy chair.
In all my glory.
And there's the foot down there. We'll show you the pictures later, but so what happened, John?
So my job had been to do industrial floor work for Family Dollar and Dollar Tree and Dollar General, and Cliff had actually done a bunch of that with us. We did strip and waxes and that type of stuff, so it was pretty physically intensive work. And towards the end of that is July 2019. Like, you're not thinking when you're waxing you got to wear a specific type of shoe because the leather won't contract with the wax. And unfortunately, I forgot to take my driving shoes off. And what had happened is it contracted really tight, and I had, I guess, a blister formed behind the second toe. It was like the callus there, and it came off.
Was I there that day, or?
No.
That was before me. Okay.
No, this was before. I think I had Luke go with me to do northern Pennsylvania at that time, and I could hardly walk. And I also had my right big toe also formed, like, basically it's called an ulcer.
Yeah.
A skin ulcer, and that eventually healed, but I've been dealing with this other ulcer, which my nieces and nephew lovingly call the Eye of Sauron.
Yeah, from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
it was always like
pretty
oozing,
terrifying.
It was like oozing stuff.
Yeah, it would leave like a blood mark, and it looked like the Eye of Sauron.
That's the toe right there, though.
That's my big toe.
Yeah. Oh.
One of the few things that's actually left.
Oh.
I can't count the 20 anymore with my piggies and my fingers, so I'm down to 18. But so what happened is I battled infection on and off with the foot, so I'd be on antibiotics. And if I'm not a big person for the doctor and stuff like that, but like, if anything to learn from this is that if you do have something, pay the money.
Go get it checked out.
And go get it checked out, because I didn't know I was diabetic either, which Cliff and I had talked about a lot, so that didn't help with the healing process.
Yeah.
I mean, it was at a spot where they said it probably wouldn't have healed regardless, just because it was on a pressure point.
Yeah.
But basically what happened then is it got really badly infected this last time and actually got into the bone.
The bone, yeah.
And what you have on the top of your foot that leads to the toes are called metatarsals. And the second and third toe, the metatarsals, were completely infected.
Ugh.
Which thankfully, when they opened it up with the surgery, they said everything around it, the soft tissue, was all very clean.
Yeah.
So, in a way, as bad as it was having to lose basically the center of my foot and the metatarsals, it was better that those bones were completely infected, because if they hadn't been, they would have cut it off about a third of the way back.
Yeah.
But because the metatarsals were infected the whole way back, they just took those out in the toes, so I actually retained the majority of my foot, and I kept 3 of my toes. So balance wise, it's a lot better. Like, I'll have to not relearn how to walk, but basically learn how to balance again, because my foot's a lot more narrow, and you do lose that balance and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I would have had to get a partial prosthetic, like a shoe prosthetic, to fill in for that front part. So I'm extremely fortunate, and it's the one thing I take and look at is if I hadn't got in when I did, they said I probably would have been dead by the next day.
Right, you said you wouldn't have woke up the next morning.
No, so because if I had
the blood, it was got to get septic.
Yeah, my blood was septic, and it was just a matter of time until it got to like my heart and my brain and that type of stuff. So. Not that it would have made a whole lot of difference in my brain, because apparently I'm not real bright when it comes to like taking care of stuff. So if there's one thing to learn is get stuff taken care of.
Yeah, but a lot of men, I mean, including
Yeah.
myself, we're gonna tough it up and
Yeah.
not go see the doctor and just
And it
hope
was
it
always
goes away.
something like
Yeah.
it would heal, and like most of the time it wasn't infected. I was like,
Yeah.
I can get through this, and that didn't happen. So,
Yeah.
like I said, the way my viewpoint is, I'm extremely blessed, and I'm gonna get through it. And
Yeah.
it's a little scary because there's a lot get thrown at you, especially with the diabetes. Like Cliff was here when I had to take my
blood sugar.
my blood sugar, and
Yeah.
the thing
Trying to figure
wasn't
that all out.
cooperating.
Yeah.
And we figured it out then, but you only like to prick your finger so many
Yeah.
times, and then you start getting angry.
So he's going to show us. I mean, it's with all the bandages on, but he's going to show us. So I'm going to warn you, graphic pictures coming up here. This is his foot, just right at I guess right after. Well, a couple days.
Yeah,
later.
this is a couple days, like 2 days after. So it actually is pretty good considering it's a little swollen along, especially the left side of the sutures.
Calling his orc foot.
Yeah, it is. It is bizarre looking, but I guess aesthetically for the most part, and that's the bottom. And that's like in the middle right there is where I had the original wound. It was probably yay big. I mean, it was a decent size ulcer, but that all got sewed up. So the foot's a little more narrow, and because the metatarsals aren't there anymore. And I just have to be careful with how much weight I put on it right now.
But he was when he got home, he was walking on it. So, but
technically, I'm not supposed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Well,
I'm supposed to be using the walker.
if you work at the hospital, don't watch this video.
Now that I'm settled, I'm going to be using the walker.
Yeah, he does
I'm
have.
Supposed to. It was just sort of there was so much stuff that had to get put in the fridge with the insulin and that type of stuff.
But consider, like when I told him, when you had called me that day, you said the big concern for you was waking up with not even having
because they
most
said
of your
originally
leg.
It sounded like they were going to cut it about like right below the knee.
So that was the thing, but the fact that you actually have your foot left and you can still walk.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just thrilled that I have my big toe, and like my heel and stuff like that.
I was looking forward to calling you Stumpy, but
I was going to be a pirate. We were going to come up with that instead of Jungle John. It was going to be whatever pirate.
But now
name.
you're Three-Toed John.
Yeah, I'm Three-Toed John.
Or Orc Foot, I'm calling you now.
Orc Foot. Orc Foot the Blessed.
So I mean, personally, we pick on each other, but I'm glad that he's okay. So it kind of freaked me out when he first called me and said everything was going on. But
that was probably I don't even say the most scared, but I was.
Yeah, but you sounded a lot different on the phone.
It was it was emotional because you don't want to lose a foot.
Right. Yeah.
Even like most of your lower leg, because it's like the changes for that would have been like, what are you going to do? Am I going to be able to work again? I don't want to be a peg leg and have to invest in a parrot, but it's like I said before, I'm just extremely blessed. I appreciate. I saw the comments.
All I don't know how many. There was like 100 comments on there.
You get a little emotional because people care. It does change your perspective on people. And I just want to say, you folks are good people. And
most of them.
Occasionally there's a couple of them that like to call Cliff a nice wet man bear.
Oh yeah, that
which
guy.
Is true. I did put that on your last video. I forget what that was.
I get a few of those.
Some creepy stuff that gets put up. But
they're aware of that stuff.
I do say thank you. I very much, it makes you feel, very, very good that people care. And, that means a lot.
And I do want to mention that John does have a GoFundMe page. We're neither me or him are asking you to support him in that, but if you want to and are able to, you can. And obviously, it's not a hoax. We know there's a lot of GoFundMe pages out there that are complete garbage. You've just mentioned the girl that put Gorilla Glue in her hair, and she raised $13,000 or something from that. And I know there was a YouTube channel where some family made a GoFund page for their dog that needed surgery, and then later on, people found out that they didn't even have a dog. So, but anyway, he has it there. A lot of some of his friends asked him to set it up because there's a lot of people that want to donate, and a lot of people he knew. John's into comics, and a lot of the comic community, they donate a bunch of money. So I'm going to put a link down at the bottom to that page. Once again, we're not asking you to, because both of us realize that it's been a tough year for for a lot of people, and there's probably any number of you that could use a GoFundMe page as well. But if you want to and you're able to, most of your medical bills are paid for.
It sounds like it's like the Medicaid's going through. So unfortunately, I'm not going to have like huge bills, but it's just basic because I can't work.
Yeah, he's gonna be out of work for a couple months, so there's rent to pay and things like that. But so we're just throwing it out there. Neither one of us is expecting you to do that, but it's there if you want to. So I do have a question I want to ask John. This is a very important question, John. Were there any pretty nurses there to take care of you?
Dear God, yes. I have to say, like, the people there at Hershey Medical Center were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, it's another one is like, I'm not like a terribly emotional person, but the kindness that people show you.
Yeah.
You know, there was a few people, like the one guy, his name was Joseph, and he had diabetes, and he's like a lot of reassurance, and just, you know, they constantly like, thank you for letting me serve you, and it's like, you know, it's like, thank you, because you know, the things that they're doing, because it is like, this is the one thing about being in a hospital. If you have any issues with privacy, you can pretty much like, here I am. But like, the nurses were they were phenomenal. Like, there's so many of them would get me, like, because with the antibiotics, your stomach can get a little weird.
Yeah.
Like, they'd sneak me the ginger ales, the sugar-free, so it was a diet, so it was safe for me to have and stuff like that. But like, they went out of their way. But yeah, there were a lot of.
So do you think it'd be worth it for me to have some toes removed to find a wife at the hospital?
As long as you don't have to do the diabetes thing,
okay,
and you don't have to stab yourself.
So if I like just maybe if I mangle some of my toes and then
you
know, some pretty nurse I'll fall in love.
I wouldn't quite follow the way I did it.
Okay,
that's not a good idea. But like, you know, slight mangulation, and maybe just go for one toe, like a pinky or something like that.
But I mean, all joking aside, you know, a nurse is a wonderful person to marry because they are a very kind person.
You gotta
you gotta have a certain heart to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because it's. I always said, like, when my dad was in hospice care.
Yeah.
Like, you had to be a very special person because nobody's getting better.
Right.
And I remember, like, when my dad really got bad, there was a gentleman who was in hospice care as well, and he's dying, and he was only concerned about me. And it just, like, it says something about the character of individuals like that. You know, that's the patient there, but the nurses and doctors, like, you can't thank the healthcare workers enough, just what they do. And like, I always joked about on my Facebook page, the people screaming.
Oh yeah.
You had
across the hall there.
There's like three separate people, and it was like the same word, like.
Yeah, you can't sleep.
And then a guy the last couple nights, like, there's obviously some kind of mental issues, but like, he'd just start like screaming, and it was like, your door's closed, but you want to like go beat your head into the wall, and like. Yeah, this one guy that obviously there were some mental issues, but like, he would just start like screaming and pleading. I guess there were some pain issues there, but like, it was insane. Like, there's no patience, and it's just, so the people, they really liked me because I'd say thank you, and quiet, and just.
You weren't screaming.
I wasn't screaming. It's like, I sort of joke with the people, and they'd laugh about it, but. They had one lady there that thought that they had kidnapped her too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it was like, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was, my one friend had gone in for diverticulitis, and he had said around 2:30 in the morning, all the older people start freaking out because they wake up in the middle of the night. A lot of them have dementia issues, and he said it just turns into an insane asylum. And it does. It's terrifying at times, but I got through. I mean, I think the hardest part was not having your freedom.
Yeah.
And you're just sort of, because Cliff and I had talked about
You're like utterly dependent upon everything.
Yeah, and it just sort of like, you're just laying there.
Yeah.
And I like to be physically independent.
And the boredom too, you said.
The boredom was just getting to me, because there's only so much on TV that you could watch. So, but it was, you know, for what it was a good experience. I mean, they really took care of me. So, Hershey Medical Center. 2 thumbs.
All right, well, we'll end this video here, but it is good to see John in a serious way. But I know a lot of you were asking about him, and he is alive and well. So he still has a long road ahead of him. Like I said, I'll try to put that link down below if you want to help and are able to. It will be appreciated. So, but anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you around. At some point, he'll be filming with me again when we do some of those videos, but I'm not sure when that will be.
Hopefully,
So-
like say May or June, because
Yeah.
it sounds like I'm not going to have to be off this foot for terribly long, but it's long
Yeah.
enough period of time. It's
Yeah.
my mobility because
Oh yeah, he's attached to an IV.
So that I can strap it up and stuff
Right,
like that,
yeah.
but just being able to wear a jacket, it's like that's pretty much impossible. So I got that for a month and a half because of the seriousness of the surgery and because of the diabetes.
Right.
They got to
don't
make
want
sure.
it to get reinfected again.
Yeah, because then they would have
Then
to
it
go
will
back.
take it all off.
Yeah, and we don't want that. So,
No,
so
don't want that.
it's an inconvenience, but it's well worth it. And so I figure probably by May or June, because I'll be back at work and
Yeah.
for Amazon again by then. So hopefully, as long as everything works out.
Yeah, so eventually you will see him in the films again. So anyway, I'll let you go for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll both see you around again sometime, hopefully.